Let's go overseas now to Afghanistan. After 10 years of war, the prospect of peace there seems as remote as ever. The past few weeks in particular have been marked by an increase in violence, including the assassination of the nation's chief peace broker and a 24-hour siege of NATO's headquarters and other Western targets. In a moment, we'll cross to Kabul to analyse the latest developments, but first this report from Scott Bevan.
Afghanistan is already one of the most dangerous countries in the world, but during the past 9 days, Taliban insurgents have launched 2 unprecedented attacks in the nation's capital. Last week, Taliban gunmen in suicide vests mounted a 20-hour siege in Kabul's diplomatic quarter. A series of missiles were fired at Western headquarters, including the US Embassy and NATO. 11 civilians and 5 Afghan police officers were killed during a raging gun battle. Militants had been hiding weapons in this unfinished building for some days before launching the attack. They were just metres from the city's so-called Ring of Steel, a high-security cordon protected by Afghan police checkpoints, state-of-the-art metal detectors, CCTV cameras and bomb-detecting dogs. The US ambassador at the time was dismissive of the incident.
You know, look, a half a dozen RPG rounds from 800 metres away, that isn't Tet. That's harassment.
But it's been 3 months since NATO-led Western forces handed over security of Kabul to Afghan forces. Analysts say this major breach in security is a measure of renewed Taliban strength.
Our worries are what will happen once NATO forces will leave the country, because we all know that the Afghan security forces will not be able to take full responsibility by 2014.
Attacks on diplomatic targets in Kabul have intensified. In recent months, suicide bombers have also struck at a British cultural centre and the luxury Intercontinental Hotel. Yesterday's assassination of former President Burhanuddin Rabbani fits this pattern. After visiting his home, 2 men claiming to be Taliban envoys detonated hidden explosives. Rabbani was the leader of the government's Peace Council, tasked with negotiating with the Taliban. His death is a king hit to the Afghan government's shaky reconciliation process. And for Western military powers, it adds up to deep unease about the growing inability of Afghan security forces to outsmart and outflank the Taliban.